Meeting of India's best business minds. We have conceived this as a series of talks by eminent business leaders on very pressing and burning issues, not just related to businesses, but even for the common man. First, we're going to talk about cell phones, and I'm not going to be talking about the latest launch of smartphones or the menace of call drops or poor connections in Delhi. Rather, on a positive note, we'll talk about the next revolution in connectivity technology, 4G, and its super fast speed. It's expected to change our lives, but it's also expected to impact our business. And how is that going to happen? Let's just find out what really is in store once 4G comes into our lives from Mr. Himanshu Kapania, Managing Director, Idea Cellular, one of India's biggest telecom service operators. He would be speaking on 4G and how it will disrupt business and our lives. Mr. Kapania, thank you so much for coming today. Kindly, if you could just grace the stage. Yes.
Good evening, friends and distinguished guests. First, my apologies for being late. All of you know that Delhi is creaking for infrastructure. That's why we have a new campaign which says Delhi nahi rukegi. If I was on my 3G 900, I won't have been late. Okay, moving on to the topic. After having accepted Prasenji's invitation to speak about 4G and how it will disrupt business and life, I started to pen down a few thoughts, and what came to my mind, which I wanted to share with this distinguished guest, was the reminiscence of the last 20 years, the era that mobiles has been in India. I played back the journey of 1995, when India opened its doors, to 2015, an era when India is amongst the fastest growing economies in the world. The contours of various evolutionary phases of Indian mobile telecom sector came visibly back to me. Looking back, and I can say with a great sense of pride and confidence, Indian telecom sector is probably the crown jewel when it comes to success stories of India's economic liberalization and privatization efforts. While in most of our deliberations with bankers, investors, as with my colleagues, we keep deliberating why does the Indian economy not deliver double-digit growth in spite of huge population dividend. Mostly we conclude that the abysmal Indian infrastructure, especially in areas of roadways, railways, power supply, urban development, water bodies, all of them remain as the prime reason why the country has not grown to its full potential. But if you look at Indian wireless industry, over the last 2 decades, I believe that the sector has built the finest and the widest service infrastructure in form of mobile voice highways, which connects over 5 lakh towns and villages across 550 districts, including deep interior, rural, and hinterland across Bharat. This infrastructure entails an investment of over 7.5 lakh crores, a backbone which delivers today services to nearly 1 billion Indians, catapulting India to the second largest mobility country in the world in terms of mobile users, and generating over 10 billion voice minutes on a daily basis, just behind China. The sector is a vital driver of country's GDP and has contributed to nearly 3% directly to the economy and has had its major impact on related sectors. Having treaded this remarkable Indian wireless telecoms sector from way back in 1995, I've seen it unfolding right before my eyes. From a duopoly in the mid-1990s to a hyper-competitive phase with 16 operators in 2008, the sector has witnessed it all. Today, while the sector is characterized by intense competition, ubiquitous voice networks, large capacities, and world's lowest voice tariff, it has set benchmarks against global standards on corporate performance in terms of scale, quality, and generation of returns at such low consumer price levels. Undeniably, the biggest beneficiary of this evolution has been the Indian consumers. But this cutthroat competition has given opportunities to efficient, professionally managed, fearless corporations to distinguish themselves from crowd and show their mettle. I believe companies like Idea were able to recognize unserved markets in the hinterland on the corridors of North, Central, and Southern India and optimized the contrarian approach in investments, financials, distribution, and brands. But that's the story of voice. The very early adoption of voice in the country was swift, as it was driven by an innate human need to stay connected. However, we are now discussing propelling 1 billion Indians onto the internet bandwagon with multiple diverse and ever developing universe of applications. And this is going to be a very different ballgame. A suitable proxy for gauging the serious internet users in the country. So a lot of numbers are being thrown out. Some people say that we have 300 million users on internet, but I don't believe it. And the proxy for that is that while 3G services in this country was launched way back in 2010, there are only 90 million Indians. That is less than 8% of Indian population or less than 10% of actual mobile phone users who currently use mobile broadband services in India. Hence, the task of converting from 90 million people to 1 billion people is going to be long, arduous, and it will require immense commitment as well as staying power, not only in terms of investment, but ability to work with consumers in their journey of exploration and discovery of the power of internet that will transition lives. Let's look at developed world and Southeast Asia, what distinguishes India from them. The three big factors that has made high internet penetration in the developed world has been, number one, obviously the high per capita income, which allowed them the ownership of personal computers and high-priced smartphones. Second, strong literacy levels and awareness of internet services. And finally, the supportive regulatory environment, allotments of large chunks of spectrum blocks, planned tower, fiber, power deployments, which enabled those nations to transition from what I called analog societies to a digital lifestyles. In the Indian context, filled with regulatory and market structure headwinds, these analog to wide coverage and availability of mobile broadband services across 5 lakh towns and villages where currently mobile is available, affordable range of smartphones below 3,000, and probably most important of all, an ecosystem of relevant application services covering all sectors. Over the last 2 to 3 years, Indians across all age, income, and education demographics have tasted some of the exciting digital services. Social networking using Facebook, peer-to-peer messaging application using WhatsApp, photo upload, video sharing are examples of internet services that have caught the attention, and we are familiar with them. All antecedents seems to indicate, in spite of the fact that we have only 8% penetration, that India is on the cusp of a digital revolution that is permanently going to transform the lives of Indians and the way they work, play, and interact. Today, top 3 to 4 mobile telecom operators are working at breakneck speeds to deploy high-speed mobile data networks on 3G and 4G platform and expand wireless broadband services from current level of population coverage limited to 200 million to a level of 1 billion Indians over the next 4 to 5 years. Prices of 3G smartphones has broken the 4,000 barrier, and we expect the 4G smartphone prices will follow suit. We are already witnessing a sharp increase in smartphone shipments to India, with more than 80 million smartphones in 2015 and slated to cross 200 million mark in 2020. As a result, the smartphones will expand from a current level of 150 million out of the billion people to a near universe at 700 million by 2020. The potential opportunities arising out of increasing digitization of the Indian masses has already sowed the seeds of fast-growing internet economy. I've seen tomorrow's program for India Today, and it talks about speaking to lots of startups. It's ushering a breed of new startups, the digital entrepreneurs, that's the way what I call them, who are entering diverse categories such as e-tail, entertainment, travel, fashion, information, education, health, logistics, real estate, payment services, and offering newer digital services to Indian consumers. With these fundamentals beginning to fall in place, the coming era from the year 2016 to 2020 will witness mass mobilization to the digital world, and telecom analysts are already projecting over 500 million wireless broadband users in 2020 from 90 million users. With the anticipated arrival of well-funded 4G-focused new telecom operator like Jio on its anvil, it's not a surprise that media and telecom analysts are speculating on the potential disruption of the telecom sector. A bloody battle is being forecasted. But we believe that any sort of new era needs sector disruption with an imagination and financial commitment to convert this dream into reality. No doubt, large mobile data, 3G and 4G capacities, and creation of ecosystem of digital services by strong international internet MNCs, technology and telecom equipment suppliers will have ability to transform Indian masses. It is my assessment, it is evident that with the arrival of Jio, the present hyper-competitive phase, fragmented Indian telecom sector will consolidate only to 4 or maybe 5 telecom players having ability to sustain an integrated offering including voice, high-speed mobile broadband services, digital channels, digital content, payment services on a nationwide basis. As more and more relevant applications become available, the average data consumption of an Indian internet user will expand 3 to 4 times, pegging it at levels similar to that of Southeast Asia. With the quantum of internet users expected to multiply several fold and massive data capacities, roughly 20 times of the current bandwidth of 2.5 to 3 petabytes per day will be needed. I strongly believe that the current large supplies which is built up will actually fall short of the tsunami of wireless data demand which is on its way. Just like in the case of mobile voice services, India will generate huge data volumes in the mobile broadband market and catapult itself to the second largest market in terms of internet users and wireless broadband data volume. It is in this context we have to understand the role of 4G. While there is one view that 4G is all about speed, it's all about use of niche, high definition, low latency video application when compared to 3G. In our view, 4G is all about capacities. 4G is going to, because India's demand of capacities is going to be a very, very large. While with the ongoing debate of large capacities building by all operators may lead to mobile broadband tariff war, resulting in a short-term pain in the balance sheet pressures for all, the industry, I can, I can tell you and vouch for it, is creating one of the finest mobile data infrastructure for the country. And that will be the foundation of the Prime Minister's vision of Digital India society. The voice era post-2008 had witnessed a tariff war with rates reaching rock bottom levels. However, despite prevalence of such low rate, select operators like Idea, who were able to understand diverse consumers and identify profitable segments, were able to generate sufficient and more returns for its shareholders. The coming 4G era is not going to be about data tariffs or products alone. The 500 million internet users will have variety of needs and mass customization will be order of the day. Operators who are able to evolve integrated digital players, educate and handhold new internet users and offer relevant services to different segments will succeed. We believe there is going to be far-reaching implications across several major industries and sectors as India goes online on the back of mobile broadband technology. Thinking otherwise or assuming that any particular sector is going to be insulated from this tsunami may prove to be myopic or even fatal for organization. It's our belief in the next short span of 3 to 5 years, industries such as banking, retailing, brokerage, to name a few, which continue to operate on traditional models, may feel the ripple effect of disruption. Sectors such as entertainment, advertising, education, health, financial services, payments, governance, logistics, and several others are surely going to be impacted. Let me illustrate 2 or 3 simple examples of industries is going to be disruptive. Let me start with entertainment and media. We already observed a gradual shift in the way both static and dynamic media is being consumed. Consumers are preferring more personalized way to consume videos and movies delivered on small screens on smartphones. Short 15 to 20 minute versions of videos are being generated and consumed along with longer 2 to 3 hour format. Music consumption is witnessing a similar trend. Music stores are are being shutting down. Consumers are evolving to owning content to streaming content. Let's take another example. Delivery of education and health services. They are going to transcend physical barriers. Learning institutions such as schools and colleges will adopt to digitize an interactive means of imparting education to students and desist physical attendance in classrooms as cries for space and environmental conservation become more pronounced. Even quality education will become more accessible to masses in interior parts of the country through virtual classrooms. The telecom industry, in partnership with sector specialists in health, education, automobiles, smart homes, smart cities, will participate through Internet of Things and machine to machine to help build a new digital India. I see our finance minister is here with us. Let me talk about financial services and the payment industry. Digital wallets will convert the cash economy into an electronic money economy, as has been seen in Southeast Asia and definitely will happen in India. And it is going to bring in segments of consumers such as teenagers, young adults, and to domain of financial services. Launch of payment bank by telecom operators will enable the have-nots to leapfrog into banking and provide access to financial products such as saving accounts, microloans, remittance, insurance to a large segment of Indians who remain deprived of such services. Finally, I believe the biggest disruption is going to be our lifestyles, from booking taxis, movies, train tickets to groceries, from finding handymans to consulting doctors, from online shopping to financial digitally. The Indian masses are going to leapfrog from current analog lifestyle to digital lifestyle across a range of activities. As I conclude, I'd like to remind that India has just begun its odyssey to becoming an empowered digital society. Mobile broadband services will be at the heart of this transformation, and will be driven by several participants. Telecom operators, on the power of 3G and 4G technology, will make mobile broadband services ubiquitous across 5 lakh towns and villages in the next 3 to 4 years. OEMs will expand universe of affordable devices, and thriving new age entrepreneurs will offer diverse and localized applications. The effects of high-speed 4G connectivity and therefore internet adoption in the country are going to be far-reaching and disruptive for industries across. Possibilities will be limitless and probably as vivid as our imagination. Thank you.